Hi, my name is Rebecca and I'm currently an HR intern at Elizabeth Arden. Through my PowerPoint, what I want to talk about first is I want to go through pictures and show kind of what the area looks like and what they really stress at Elizabeth Arden, and then get into details about the projects that I'm doing and how they help build my skills and things like that. So as you can see from the first series of photos, it's when you first walk in, and if you keep going, you see that there's a really open floor plan and that none of the desks have barriers, so everything is really open. What I like about that is that it really helps encourage creativity and conversation amongst departments and within your own department, and I think that really helps them stay creative and stay on top of their game because everyone is talking and everyone's kind of aware of what you're doing. Now, some of the things that I've noticed that are different in the HR department versus the rest of Elizabeth Arden, that the HR department is extremely talkative amongst themselves, but only in a way, but not in a way that ever distracts from work, and that they're also very open when it comes to having questions about work as well. Like, they're not afraid to not know the answer, and they have no problem asking each other for help when it comes to really important and potentially legality issues that come up in HR often. They're interested in each other's lives, and they're really fun, which is something that I think is important when you can be working with serious issues that the HR department is often working with. The rest of Elizabeth Arden, while they are talkative, they're not as talkative between departments. It's very much kind of stick to your own department, which is, I think, something that they could work on. I also feel that the head corporate office, which is actually located in Geneva, isn't as involved as I think that sometimes, at least that I expected, but also that they should be, because sometimes there are issues that it seems Geneva is slow to get back to us on, and maybe that's just because I work in the HR department where we do have a lot of contact with them, but so I can't speak to the rest of the departments, but I think it's something that's really interesting. My projects have been extremely helpful in helping me decide what I do like about HR and what I don't, as well as seeing what skills I need to work on and what skills I am really strong at. One of the main projects that I've been doing and main tasks that I've been doing lately is a file audit of the 529 beauty consultants and account managers that work in the field for Elizabeth Arden. Now, by going through each file and making sure that they have a signed contract, assigned policies and procedures, as well as a documentation saying that they're legally allowed to work in the UK, I've gained a lot of skills in just learning more about HR and what that is, and that's just from looking through the files and seeing sometimes what issues have come up and when do people need to talk to HR and just things like that, which while it wasn't what I wasn't supposed to be doing, it wasn't in the original task description, it's something that has helped me immensely in really understanding the all-encompassing role of HR. I also realized with this that sometimes major corporations aren't as good with files as they should be, because as I finished, there were 130 approximately that had issues with their files that I needed to now go out to the field and kind of contact and see. Like I said, this has been really informative to me, and it's shown me a lot about my attention to detail and things that I feel passionately about, which is something that is really valuable. The recruitment project that I worked on was also really interesting and cool because it had two different faces to it. I worked a lot on the recruitment website, which will be going out to launch in, I believe, September for Elizabeth Arden, and being involved in a project that is that big and that all-encompassing is kind of stressful, and I noticed that my manager, Simone, was a little stressed out by it, so being able to help her and work with her taught me a lot. I learned that sometimes when you outsource to another company, that's not always best because they had outsourced the original website and there were spelling mistakes and the values and ideas and beliefs weren't accurate and weren't what Elizabeth Arden wanted. So it was important to me to go and fix that and kind of just really display what I understood as the values and beliefs, and then check that with Simone to make sure that that's really what they were portraying. And so that was an interesting experience, as well as the other side, which was directly helping to hire someone from an application for the head office for being a brand manager, and just going through the 300 plus applications and just doing a general first round of cuts. I felt like I was really included by being able to do that for Simone, as well as ultimately helping the company, and it was very insightful for me to see what corporations and what people in that industry are really looking for in a candidate, because that's something that matters to me and it is something that I'm interested in the future. Ultimately, I feel that my time so far at Elizabeth Arden and in the HR department has really helped me build both my skills in the workforce as well as my social skills. In the workplace, I feel that all of the based work that I've been doing gives me a lot of autonomy within the department, and it lets me kind of be independent from everyone else, but still involved as I need to ask them questions and see things like that. I've also learned so much about HR to the point where I feel that now that it's necessary that a human resources class be offered to management students, probably at the beginning of their management career, just because it's so instrumental in a successful company, and I don't feel like enough students are aware of the role that it plays in everyone's life. I also think that working in the beauty industry for this time has solidified that I feel like I want to work in retail with clothing as opposed to beauty, because they're very different in subtle ways, and it's the retail industry that is really something that I'm passionate about. In terms of my social experiences, I now feel a lot more comfortable speaking to strangers, which is something that I've always been relatively comfortable with, but being thrown into a new environment like this has really helped me step out of my comfort zone. I also have a lot more faith in public transportation after having to take the tube to work every morning, which is usually pretty on time as opposed to the transportation in Massachusetts. And I do believe that it's really put faith in me being on my own, as I've been kind of here without most of my family and most of my friends. I thought it would be a difficult transition, but I found it pretty easy. So now things that I'm looking forward to in the future and towards the end of my internship are the interesting way I'll have to transition quickly between this London experience working and the atmosphere here and my internship in Boston when I return back to school. I also feel like when I am in Boston, I'm going to need to do a lot more of the touristy things that I've been doing here, because they've really made my experience a lot better. And just by going to museums and going to parks every day, I think I've learned a lot about myself and my interests. So doing that in the States is just as easy, and I've learned that I should really do that. That's what I've learned so far at Elizabeth Arden, and I can't wait to do more and say more and tell everyone everything that's happened as I continue with my experience and write about it in my last paper. Thank you.